Have you ever noticed how you dismiss your own feelings before anyone else even hears them? How a part of you shuts down, not because the emotion is wrong, but because you don't trust what it might reveal? What if this isn't calmness, but a quiet trial happening inside your mind? A courtroom where your emotions show up like witnesses, and you never let them speak. Psychologists call this internal invalidation, a silent process that slowly disconnects you from your own truth. Today, we're stepping inside that courtroom to finally hear the evidence you've been ignoring. We often talk about emotional stonewalling as something that happens in relationships, but the truth is far more subtle. Most people stonewall themselves first. You might tell yourself you're fine when you're not. You might push away discomfort instead of listening to it. You might silence frustration because you think it's too much or not important. Over time, this creates a quiet disconnection, a gap between what you feel and what you allow yourself to acknowledge. Modern psychology shows that this internal dismissal can mimic the effects of chronic stress, and Carl Jung suggested that what we deny inwardly returns to us outwardly as fate. So today, we're examining the signs that you're emotionally stonewalling yourself, not to judge you, but to understand the trial happening inside your mind, and learn how to finally hear your own emotional truth. Imagine a courtroom inside your mind, a quiet room where every emotion tries to step forward, but most of them never make it past the door. This is the first sign of emotional stonewalling. You reject your feelings before they even arrive. Stress tries to speak, saying I'm overwhelmed, but you answer with a quick no, you're not, keep going. Sadness tries to appear, saying this hurt me, and you whisper stop being dramatic. Even excitement tries to rise, saying this matters, and you shut it down with don't get your hopes up. You think this is control or emotional strength, but psychologists call it preemptive self-silencing, blocking emotions not because they are wrong, but because you don't trust them. A study from the University of Toronto found that people who habitually suppress emotions show reduced emotional awareness over time, almost like turning down the volume on their inner world. That's the first sign. You shut down your inner signals so quickly, you never learn what they were trying to say. The second sign is even more subtle, and most people mistake it for coping well. In every courtroom, there's a judge, and inside your mind, there's one too, a voice that doesn't trust your emotions and dismisses them without even hearing the full story. You feel stressed, and the inner judge says you're overreacting. You feel disappointed, and it tells you stop being sensitive. You feel angry, and it labels you irrational. Every emotion becomes inadmissible evidence. Cognitive researchers call this meta-emotional invalidation, believing your emotions are flawed simply because they're emotions. But here's the twist. Neuroscience shows that emotions are not random. They're data, signals from your inner world, pointing toward what matters, what hurts, and what needs attention. When you dismiss them, you don't become stronger, you become emotionally uninformed. And in a moment, we'll explore the next sign, the one that makes stonewalling nearly invisible. This is where emotional stonewalling becomes almost impossible to notice. You can feel something, but you can't name it. Something stings, but you don't know why. Something feels heavy, but you shrug it off. It's like being handed a case file with half the pages missing. Psychologists call this alexithymia light, not a disorder, but a subtle emotional disconnect, where the body feels, but the mind refuses to translate. It happens when emotions have been shut down so often that they stop arriving with detail. They show up as tension in your shoulders, tightness in your stomach, restlessness you can't explain, irritation with no reason. You feel the verdict, but you never heard the trial. And this is where many people think they're just tired, or just stressed, or just busy, when the truth is simpler. You've been silencing your emotions so long, they no longer bring words, only sensations. Coming up next, the most dangerous sign of all, the one that hides in your daily routine. This is the sign people almost never admit to themselves. You avoid difficult inner conversations, not because you're weak, but because silence is when your emotions finally speak. You keep yourself busy. You choose noise over stillness, scrolling over reflection, distraction over depth, not because you lack discipline, but because quiet moments are when the witnesses inside you try to take the stand. Psychologists call this experiential avoidance, preferring discomfort from the outside world over discomfort from your inner world. When the courtroom is loud, you don't hear the emotional truth you've been postponing. But here's the surprising part. Your emotions are not trying to overwhelm you. They're trying to guide you. They're signals, not threats. And shutting them down doesn't protect you. It isolates you. So what happens? When you finally let your emotions take the stand, you begin to understand what you truly need. You recognize what hurts. You see what needs to change. You reconnect with yourself, not through force, but through honesty. Emotional stonewalling isn't failure. It's a habit, learned quietly, repeated silently, and broken gently. The first step isn't dramatic. It's not feeling everything all at once. It's simple. Let one emotion finish its sentence. Let it speak, without interruption, without judgment, without shutting the door. That small act reopens the entire courtroom, and for the first time, you hear your own emotional truth. The truth is, you can't build a meaningful life by silencing the very signals designed to guide you. Your emotions aren't the enemy. They're the evidence, the story, the truth behind the case. And the trial ends the moment you stop being the judge and start becoming the listener. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.